Being a dad is hard. It's high stakes. It takes a toll on our self-worth, mental health, and can be lonely. But why would we ever want to do something so important in isolation? Legacy Makers, a conversation for dads, is quite simply two normal dads having conversations about, you guessed it, being a dad. The highs, the lows, and the learnings along the way. We are four dads. We want to remedy the deficiency we see in community for dads, and we want to ruthlessly encourage dads on their journey to build lasting legacy for the faces they love the most. All right, we are back, Kevin. I'm glad that you got some changes. You were throwing a little fit last time we were in the studio. You weren't happy with the aesthetic and the chairs. Do you feel better about where you
make me sound like such a diva. I just, do you like these chairs? Just honest opinion. Other chairs or these chairs?
I don't remember the other ones.
Okay, you could swivel in the other ones. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. I feel rooted. I feel secure.
I'm glad. I did just get some fries, so I got some energy now. You're fasting, but I'm eating, so
my fast is over.
I'm
feeling focused.
Okay, there you go.
All right, listen, man. So this is a little heavier one. I know your favorite word is vulnerability. I keep reminding you of that, but in the spirit of that, so I had a really tough situation very recently. One of my close friends at work, and what I love about, hopefully everyone listening has the same experience. I think you've created this culture at Addo. Like, I don't like compartmentalizing my life, right? And so the people I work with, for the most part, like, we're friends. Like, I know about their families. Like, they know my family. Like, this work-life thing is life. Like, and I think it's a beautiful thing when you set up culture that way. I think the results are better when you infuse care. But man, when people go through hard times, you hurt double, right? It's not just my work colleague, but a guy I've known a really long time passed away unexpectedly. He was on my leadership team. I'd been at Coke 18 years, early 40s, 11-year-old daughter, 4-year-old son. I can remember being on Teams calls, Microsoft Teams video calls during COVID. Like, I had babies, my twins in my arms. He had his son in his arms. Beautiful wife, happily married, and talked to him, headed into the weekend. We texted over the weekend and found out that just unexpectedly was no longer here. And it's been really, really hard. It's been hard to navigate. It's been hard to, you think about someone who's in your life so kind of connected in that day to day, and they're just not here anymore. So it's been really heavy to lead through that. It's been heavy to be, thinking about his wife and his children. We had so many conversations about being fathers and just all that was ahead. And I think it's really important, as I thought about, getting through this situation and knowing that we would be talking today, to really hit on the importance of urgency, because I feel really convicted around, that's the one word that has just been ringing in my head.
Urgency,
because we talk a lot about legacy and being consistent each and every day to build this experience for our kids that is consistent with what we are saying is important. But the reality is, we're not promised 18 years with our kids. You and I aren't promised tomorrow, and it's so cliche. I feel like cringy saying it, but I think
there's moments like what you're talking about. That's a good reminder, because it does feel cliche, but there are moments we come face to face with that. One of my friends, Paulus, who's a pastor in Indonesia, says that, like, when you have a clear view of death, which sounds very morbid, but you have a clear view of death, it has a way of clarifying your motives for life and what should really matter.
There's something about that clarity that no one wants to kind of get clear on, right? You kind of don't want to think about it, but I think that it's moments like this, and my buddy's, his name's Jim Robertson, and I loved him dearly, and he made a profound impact on my life. One of the things my leadership team and I talk about, and I've stolen it, we've talked about it here, is, man, just like my expectation of them. I say this at the end of the year. Last year, I say it multiple times throughout the year. My expectation of my leaders is to win at your permanent titles.
What do you mean by that?
So Jim was our, senior director of finance. He's going to be a better senior director at finance, which is his temporary title because he's been at Coke 18 years and will do other stuff or was doing other stuff before that. He's going to be better if he's winning and crushing his permanent title of husband, of dad. He was a brother, friend. And I saw him live that out. And so the piece that I do have here is the amount of times hey man, I'm not going to go to this thing because my little guy's got this going on. Or, hey, my wife's not feeling well. I want to be with the team, but I'm just going to have to be remote. Like the dude was winning.
Yeah.
At his permanent titles. And, I find peace there. But I'd love to talk to you about this kind of notion of urgency and ensure that you and I are thinking about it the right way, and hopefully it makes an impact on whoever's listening.
Hey, you shared something with me when you were preparing for this. I really loved the way you said this. You said urgency, not in a frantic sense, but as a call to live intentionally and create a legacy. Mm-hmm. We have in other episodes talked about peace. We've talked about this idea of things like, so sometimes urgency can feel like
rushing.
Like, and by the way, and I'm a little just sensitive to that because like I think one of my flaws as a dad is I feel like I'm rushing a lot with our kids. Laura's challenging me like, hey, we don't want them to feel rushed. So when you say urgency, you don't mean looking like you're running everywhere fast. It's just knowing that we don't have forever. Yeah. And so this is not, by the way, this is not just in the sense that we may end up passing away sooner, but even just looking at this many years in elementary school and this many years in middle school and this many years out of the house. So I love that idea of having urgency in fatherhood and prioritizing what matters most.
Yes. I think that's where I want to lean in. I think that to your point about Paulus's, like the awareness that time is very finite. I hate those Instagram reels. It's like, I have 18 summers with my child, and this is so sad. And I get the why behind it, but time is finite. And what is not irreplaceable are these moments, right? When you think about the legacy we're trying to build, it's built on the back of moments that you're providing for your family. Moments as simple as a conversation. Brittany and I were going to, where were we headed to? Oh, last weekend we had a bunch of basketball games. I coached Bennett. By the way, the Electric Bananas started out 1-2. We've reeled off 5 wins. We finished 6-2, the 3 seed out of 20 teams. Playoffs are this weekend. Just want to call that out. All coaching.
Did you name the team the Electric Bananas?
I did not.
Do you have swag for this?
We don't.
Okay, you should probably.
We should. We'll see if they gotta win. So Benny is not the most gifted basketball player, and that's fine, I guess. But we had a couple games, and then he was going with my dad to lacrosse afterwards, and we were taking Camden, my oldest, to another basketball game. We won the game, but I was hard on Bennett. And it wasn't like he didn't deserve it. Like, he was kind of loafing around, which bothers me. He was the one kid on the team a couple different times where, like, he forgot the play, and everyone's like, he's the one. So, like, I had a right to be frustrated, but I had this moment when I kind of like, and I you raise your voice as a coach, not like scream like a crazy person, but I caught eyes with him during the game, and I could just sense like it was like I had either hurt his feelings or embarrassed him. And we were driving to Camden's game, and Bennett was with my dad, and I was telling Brittany, I'm like, man, I could have handled it differently. And she just picked up her phone and called my dad, and it's like, hey, is Benny there? Put him on the phone. And she had urgency for me, but that's an example of urgency. Mm-hmm. Like, I talked to Ben, hey buddy, you know that you needed it, but I could have done this better. Thanks, Dad. And I felt so much better after.
Yeah.
It's something as little as that. But I think, like, don't miss moments where you should be urgent. If your gut is saying, I need to do this, I need to have this conversation, don't assume you get to have that conversation at another time. Like, the moment is
now.
Right now.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that. If we are going to be urgent as a dad, knowing we have a limited time, I think one of the things that starts with is purpose.
Yeah.
Because if we don't know why we exist, what we're here for, what our values are, and I know some people do this more formally than others, but if we don't have that clear purpose as a dad, if you keep putting that off, there's not gonna be a better time down the road. It's not gonna
be easier. The two questions I would like prompt yourself with as we think about this is, what are a few things I would like for my kids to say about me as a dad? Like, think about those.
So defining that.
Yeah. Like, my dad was this, or my dad did that. Like, what? It's as simple as that. Purpose can be that easy. I want my kids to remember me as this.
Yep.
So that's one question. And then the other question I would push you to wrestle around with is, what are some really important life skills that you want to equip your children with?
We don't talk about that a lot. We talk a lot about this kind of high level sort of things, but actual tangible skills, I think that's key.
Right. Resilience.
Yep.
Gratitude. Service. There's a whole host of them. Change a tire. I don't know.
Can you change a tire? Or do you call AAA?
I am unable to do much things when it comes to my hands.
Okay, so
that's one. I think, purpose is important. And again, I don't think you need to go read books and do this charter. I think it's as simple as, and maybe down the line, yes, it's a formal way. Answer those questions. Be able to rattle that off. If someone walked up to you and said, hey, Kev, what do you want your kids to say about you? Could you answer that in 15 seconds?
Yeah.
Could you rattle off a couple of things that you want to equip them with if you're not here? So that'd be the first thing. The second thing I would say is presence. You and I have talked a lot about this, not presents like their birthday presents. There's a lot of people that I hear, dads specifically, that cop out here. Well, I work this. I travel all the time. They're in this. They're in school. Their mom and I are divorced. Like, I'm not saying you have to be there all the time, but I am saying when you're sitting at a dinner with them, you're there.
Yeah.
And you might even say, hey, buddy, like, I'm here. This is my phone. I've turned it off.
Yeah.
I'm all yours. And that 10 minutes might be the most impactful 10 minutes. But enough with the cop-outs around, I'm too busy, or I've got this, or blah, blah, blah. We got to be there.
Yeah, that, man, this is the one I know to be true. I know it's important, and it is the one that's easiest for me to default back into old strategy, old habits and things that do it. We talked about our friends with Joey and Heath and the RO box. I get this thing advertised to me on Instagram all the time now called Brick. Have you seen Brick?
Mm-mm.
Brick is basically when you brick your phone, you still use it, but it eliminates all the extra apps. So it's only calling and texting. So it basically turns your smartphone into a dumb phone for a period of time.
Oh.
And so I'm telling Laura, like, hey, I think I should get this. And she looks at me, and I appreciate she's a lot more just pointed. She's like, you don't need another stupid app. You don't need, you just need the courage to do it. Like, you just got to decide. And I think she's right. And when you talk about Jim's story and the urgency, I think one of the things that I will probably look back and regret the most is not how much I worked or did this. It was the times when I was face to face with my kids, but I wasn't really present.
Yes. But I do think that the beautiful thing about you acknowledging that right now is you have so much ahead of you. And even somebody that doesn't have so much ahead of you, like, today is an opportunity to create something that's different. And again, it's very easy in this presence one. My kids are too old. I've missed the window, or I'm too busy. All the things. There's just it's never, I don't know who said it, but it's never too late to do the right thing. Right.
Yeah.
And that's really important. You talked about Laura pushing you on a decision or make a decision, have courage. That goes to the third one for me, which is around prioritization. I feel like we say this a lot on the podcast, but you got to really prioritize. You really have to prioritize. And as we get older, like the season of life you and I are in, it's going to get harder and harder.
Yeah, I would add to this one, because we do talk about this idea of prioritization a lot, but I would talk about the tension of urgency with taking the long view. I think when you have the long view, it helps you be more urgent to prioritize what's actually going to matter. So right now, if I'm looking out 2 days, there's a lot of things that are going to feel more important, that are going to feel, and there are going to be seasons they are more important, but oh, this really matters and this deadline. But if I look out the long term, what is really going to matter? And when we prioritize in that light, or in light of the fact that time is finite, our life is finite, that is, I think that helps us prioritize more effectively.
Yeah, it's a good word. For us, there's a recent example where, sometimes to your point, like, this is ahead of me, I need to attack this, is very helpful. Evelyn, one of our girls, with just normal behavioral issues that have been really challenging the last couple of weeks. And Brittany and I it's not just, okay, let's show up the same way, and she's misbehaving. What do we need to do differently? Okay, yeah, like, that behavior is unacceptable. Our response isn't working. Let's prioritize this. You and I agree that when this happens, we have to hold, I think prioritization can mean different things in different seasons, but I also think prioritization is also when you see something that needs to be fixed, don't assume, hey, this is something I'm going to work on. And sometimes it might take some time, but attack it. You got to attack the thing.
Okay. Purpose, presence, prioritization. Give us one more.
So this is a super tactical one, but I would just say, to keep the theme of P's, preparation. And I'll give you an example. I went out and bought a If I Die book. You don't have to buy a book. You can put everything in a book. But the wills, the Social Security cards. I've written letters to the kids on their birthday, every birthday. Passwords. Super tactical. But I'm going to do that this weekend when it comes in. That makes me feel better if, God forbid, something happens, right?
Yeah.
Something simple, if you don't have a practice of writing your kids something that they're probably not going to read until they're later in life.
Yeah. Take
30 minutes and write them a letter for them to read on their 18th birthday or when they get married. But I think the more, this is a very uncontrollable thing we're talking about, but the more you can prepare, I think the better, at least for me personally, I will feel, because I'm taking into what's in my controllable set, and I'm doing the best I can in a very uncontrollable situation.
I love that, man. I love the practical side. I think that's a challenge. And when I say the practical, the financial, wills, passwords, those kind of things. But I also love the other intentionality. One of my best friends, one of our good mutual friends, is a guy named Garrett. His dad passed away from cancer. And one of the coolest things for me was years later when Garrett got married, reading a letter from his dad that he had written. He knew that time was coming, but hey, I'm not going to be there that day. But that was just a really cool way to prepare in a way that ties back to what are we really prioritizing? What's our purpose? Yeah. So that's a great thing. And I do think tying that all back to urgency, that doesn't mean hey, turn the podcast off and you got to do it right now. But it means don't just keep delaying. Make it a priority.
These are the easiest and actually the best thing to delay is this, because when you lean into it, it creates emotions that aren't fun. It can bring anxiety. But like you said, you don't have to do all this in a day. I would encourage somebody, listen, write it out. In the next 90 days, here's a couple things I'm going to do, right?
Yeah.
And just go start crossing some stuff off the list. Make this more manageable, but do not put it off.
Yeah.
Take steps towards it. Again, a tough topic for sure, but I think it's an important one. It's something that when you go through, we all go through tough times, what are you going to take from it? And I think that's how you honor the person, is the trajectory of my life will be different, not just from knowing him, because he was an amazing person that I care deeply about, but this event that is tragic will also be a inflection point in my life to do things differently, and that will help honor him as well. And I think we owe that to people that have gone before us.
That's good. What close us out? Give us some takeaways.
I'd say just start, guys. I think this is something that you don't.
Yeah. You had a quote you sent, William James. Mm-hmm. This to me, just the best use of life is to spend it on something that outlasts it.
Yep.
And when we think about intentionality and urgency with our kids, the best things we will do are the things that are going to outlast you and I, because the reality is we pray that they're going to outlive us. And so we want to do things, we want to make an investment that's going to outlive us.
What stories do you want them to be telling about you?
Yeah.
I remember watching the video of Garrett at his wedding, and if I remember correctly, his brother was reading the words from his dad.
Yep.
Couldn't be there. Knew he wasn't going to be there, but that outlasted, him, right? And I think it's good conviction. Mm-hmm. And if you're feeling condemned by this conversation, don't. That's not the feeling you should feel. That's coming from a different source, but you should hopefully feel convicted to take a step towards trying to manage a situation that's unmanageable and tough to deal with. So appreciate you letting me unpack it, and we'll just continue to get better every day.
Good challenge. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to Legacy Makers with Kevin Scott and Eric Blumenthal. Make sure you download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.